And good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here on the Highliner Activity Network on this blustery Thursday morning. And we're going to kick things off with Highliner boys basketball head coach Jim McDaniel joining us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
North wind. So did you get a tailwind or a headwind coming in?
Well, I don't have to go very far, but I blew some snow this morning just to clean the driveway off. And so, yeah, there's some snow blowing around.
It's a nasty one, but we'll worry about that. Last time out here, the Highliners Lisbon hit on the road, taking on the Lisbon Broncos, and they're one of those teams that you just don't know what you're going to get. But they have, with Adair and Cordero, they've got some talented kids, so you don't know what you're going to see when you get them.
Yeah, and just like we've talked about before, I think every team in Class A on a given night, if you're playing well, you can beat just about anybody, but if you're not showing up, everybody can beat you too. Mm-hmm. So we played well that night, and I thought our defense shut the guys down. They're big, they kind of got three guys that they kind of look to, and we shot the ball well. And so, yeah, we needed a win, and we played with a pretty comfortable lead most of the game.
You had Masson was hitting them from the outside, and Jack was getting down inside. Got a little in foul trouble, but when you get that, you still have, like Tegan Zahn, Andrew Sikor that come off the bench. They may not be the 6-7 guys, but they still do what they need to do when he gets to the bench.
Yes. Yep. I think both of them rebounded really well. I mean, I just got this morning, I just got the huddle report as far as our stats. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're getting boards, they're getting some baskets, and just doing a nice job defensively also. Right. So, yeah, everybody's doing their job. Right now, I think our biggest thing is controlling the ball. Against Lisbon, we got the lead, mm-hmm. and just being smart with the basketball so that we're not going to allow teams to kind of get back. Right. We had a 19-point lead, and they cut it to 10, mm-hmm. and we took a timeout because, again, we're shooting well, but you're not always shooting well.
Right.
Their defense and things can kind of cause some problems at times, and then the opponent's defense, mm-hmm. When we go into those spurts, we got to work the ball. We got to get a high percentage shot and things like that. They just kind of want to keep let's go, right. and games don't work like that. So that's kind of the part we're working on right now.
So if you want the stats the next day, just let me know, because I go back and watch the game and do a play-by-play.
Yeah, so I know. Every game is on huddle, and then we have the huddle assist, so it goes to huddle assist. But if there's a lot of games, it takes a while for that report to come back, and so it gives a nice printout of where we're, the analytics of where we're getting our shots, mm-hmm. Which I did see against Wahpeton. We did not. They made more shots in the paint mm-hmm. than we took.
Right.
That's a big stat. If they're making more in the paint than we're actually shooting in the paint.
Right.
Where against Lisbon, we had, I think we had 38 shots in the paint. Mm-hmm. And we shot, when you're in the paint, your percentage is a lot higher too.
Right.
So that was a good stat for us. We did get more shots in the paint. And so those type of analytical stats that come from huddle are kind of nice to see.
Speaking of that, and just speaking of now, since with you have coaching, you look at Huddle and you look at all the streaming services, does that make coaching a lot more, I don't want to say easier, but you get a chance to watch a lot of teams, with video instead of video. Yeah. It's a change the way a coach approaches a game because of that?
Well, I like to, I watch, now we're kind of watching, Mike and I are watching, Castleton
mm-hmm.
and just kind of seeing, what defense are they running most of the time?
Right.
What kids are their scores? That kind of thing. We don't watch a lot of video as a team. I worry more about what we're supposed mm-hmm. to be doing than the other team. I know some coaches worry more about the other. They want to prep and plan, and and then the next game is something different because you got a different team. I don't know. I guess my philosophy is, at the college level, you're probably doing a lot of that, where for us, we got to just keep getting better at what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it is nice with the stats part. It is nice where you get, it breaks it down. So,
right.
How many points did we get in the paint compared to how, just, so there gets to be a nice little report that you get at the end. So I really like that. I really like that. That's probably what I use the most.
Well, you're a stat guy too, math teachers or whatever.
Yeah, I tried. And then there's some stats that I don't know. I've read over the years that are kind of important, kind of that stat where if we're making more baskets in the paint than they're actually taking, that's a huge advantage to
Right.
us. Or the other one I like to look at is, did we make more free throws than the other team took? Well, if that happens, you pretty much win most of your games.
Right.
If you're doing those two things.
Well, now Central Cass here on Friday night. First chance you get to see the Squirrels. What have you seen in the little bit of video you've seen?
Well,
of them?
they got a couple guys. They're big. They're young. Yeah, I think if we defend like we did against Lisbon, I think we'll be fine.
Right.
But they bring in quite a few different guys because a lot of them are young. They have one senior, and they're talented. Again, if we don't come and do what we're going to do, or what we're supposed to do,
Right.
hopefully we shoot well. But we got to rebound. We got to take care of the ball. I mean, which we have. Our turnovers have been. I think we had. I don't know. I don't know if we had 8 turnovers,
Right.
maybe.
Yep.
I can live with that.
Yep.
I suppose we're averaging maybe 10 turnovers a game. So those type of things are important that we have to do. And then we can't, if we're having one of those games where we're not shooting the ball very well, you got to keep it close.
Yeah.
We let it get out of hand. We didn't shoot very well against Wapaton, which a lot of their defense did to us.
Right.
But then we just never kept it close.
Yep.
We panic, we take shots that are not high percentage, and then the gap just gets bigger, and then now you got to start taking chances, and then it just snowballs. So we can't do that.
And you look at your team can do things offensively. You can either go half court if you need to. You can slow things down. You can run if you want to. Is that your philosophy too? We'll take what the defense is going to give us and what the situation calls for.
Yes, and I like you said, Mikan had 30 the other night. Bryson had 17. Jack had 10.
Yeah.
So we're getting some perimeter shots. Because Mikan he had quite a few threes
7,
that game.
yeah.
And then Jack's points are all inside.
Yep.
So there's that. Bryson's getting points that are kind of going to the basket at times. So and that's. And again, like Tegan Zahn had a couple points, and Finn is a good drive to the basket type of guy. That's where he's getting his points. Tegan and Andrew, offensive boards, put back, going to the free throw line, that kind of stuff. If we're getting all of those things, it can't all be one-dimensional.
Right.
And that, to me, that's what we're preaching at practice a lot is we can't be where we're just relying on our shooting all the time.
Yeah.
It's got to be get to the basket, whether it's penetration and that, or dumping it into Jack, or points in the paint that are just right around the free throw line and elbow area.
Right.
It doesn't have to be either a layup or a three.
No.
We want
Right.
that mix, and
Those
I think
mid-rangers.
Yeah, I think once we get that balance of mix of different guys scoring, different places on the floor, different types of scoring, then we're really hard to beat.
3 games in the region. I think most teams have about 5 or
Yeah,
6. Your schedule's
we're way behind.
Yeah, but you're going to get caught up
Yeah,
here.
get caught up fast. So
and get back in the mix here. But Friday night with Central Cass, the JVers get another chance to get on the floor.
Yep.
How is Mike like what he's seen with the JV team and what he's seen from these kids?
good. Every game we're getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, we're and again, we had such a slow start. It was unfair to those guys. Our numbers are 14 guys, but we got some guys that are, Samuelson's out.
Right.
Bentley Thornton's out right now.
Yeah.
So we got a couple injuries that we're dealing with. So on a given night, like Friday night, we are going to have to show up. Every guy is playing, 30, close to 30 minutes. I mean,
Right.
because we just don't have guys that are, we don't have a bunch of guys that are sitting on the bench not playing.
Yeah.
Every guy's going to play.
Yeah, you don't have 15 varsity, 15 junior varsity.
Yeah, and so yeah, our JV, every game we're doing something better, and
Yeah.
so now that we've had some games and they're getting time.
Yeah.
I mean, and what's tough is a lot of these JV teams, we show up, we got 6 or 7 guys. Andrew does play a couple quarters on the JV, but we got 1 or 2 guys sitting on the bench depending on the quarter that we could put in, and you look at the other JV and they got a whole line of them,
Right.
So that's a disadvantage for us, but our guys are getting minutes, so they're getting better every day.
Well, it's Friday night, 5:30 for the junior varsity, and then about 7 o'clock or a little after
Yep.
with Central Cass. So bring out the fans here to the Hack. Girls aren't playing on Friday night, and so we should have a good crowd. We've had some great crowds here at home.
have.
The crowd's been so phenomenal here at the Hack.
I think and Mike and I were talking last night, we need a good, I thought we played well down in Lisbon. I think we've played better basketball away from the Hack right now. We need a good game in this place.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for that on Friday night to get a win, and we're going to play some good basketball here at home.
All right, Coach, appreciate it. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
tomorrow night.
All right, thank you.
Coach Jim McDaniel joins us from the Highlander Boys Basketball. Back with more from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highland Activity Network, and now we are talking girls wrestling. And I'll tell you right now, sitting at this table, there's over 200 wins sitting at this table. You know how many I have? 0. So we have got a couple of the Highlander girls wrestlers, 2 of the veterans, the 2 juniors, Deegan Kirschman and Miley Christensen. Ladies, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Nice drive here this morning.
No.
No, but thank you for coming, because I texted you and says, hey, if it's too bad, no. Miley's like, we'll make it. We're good. We're good. We're on our way. Well, first off, let's talk about, of course, what was the milestone. Both of you picked up win number 100, about an hour apart, I think. You got it first, and then, because you had 99. And then
I had 99 going into the tournament. She had 98.
and so then you got your 2, got to 100. Well, first, congratulations. I was trying to listen to what they were saying here the other night. There's only, 10 or so girls that have reached 100 wins in the state of North Dakota, and you guys are 2 of them.
Yeah.
I guess first off, Deegan, I'll ask you both the same question, but when you started Highlander Wrestling, when you started varsity, I mean, you had been working your way up.
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting to that 100-win plateau?
No, I was super confused when I got it too. I was like, I didn't think I was there yet. So.
I think you asked Coach after she got. Didn't you ask Coach?
Yeah,
where
I
am
asked him when would I get it, and he's like, oh, probably sometime next year. Then he lied to me.
The look on your face was a little when they were holding
I
up
was
the sign. Like,
confused. I was like,
whoa,
what?
wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah.
How about you, Miley? Is this something you had thought you could do, or just you know?
I was hoping to get it before my senior year.
Yeah. Well, you both started at the same time, and I guess I'll start with you. When you started with wrestling, is this something how did you get into? Because you were in the Express.
Mm-hmm.
What got you into wrestling?
Well, my brother did, and I was like, well, I'll try it. Mm-hmm. I really sucked, but I was like, it's fun. I'll keep on going with it. So.
How about you? What got you going?
Deegan got me into it.
She brought you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah. But as far as being juniors now, of course, you're kind of veterans. You've been around the program for a while. Even back when you only had 2 or 3, where you were the only girls, man. In fact, you probably started wrestling boys and wrestling on the boys team. How good does it feel to be part of this program now, Deegan, where you got 11 girls and this is a full-fledged girls varsity team?
It's really cool. You know, we're so close to having a full dual team, and once we get that, that's going to be super cool. And I don't know, it's just awesome to see that we went from like having 3 girls and then just more and more keep joining every year.
And you know, there was you two, and I think Brooke Brooke Bundy was also a BCN. You kind of pass the word along, Miley, to talk to some of these girls over at BCN and say, hey,
Deegan's the main recruiter.
Is she's a recruiter?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, you want to join wrestling? They're like, no. I'm like, all right. I tried.
Got to keep trying a little harder, a little harder. But now, Miley, as we get, we're about a month away before we get into, maybe less than that, for regionals and state. How do you feel you're wrestling right now? I know you had a nice streak going there for a while, but the bell of the brawl.
Yep, last weekend I was sick, or last week I was sick, and I was like, well, I might as well just show up to the tournament, see how I can do. Did not do very good. So I feel like just when I get back into my normal groove of not being sick, I'll be back up to my potential.
What's your goal as you get going here this last month? What's on Miley Christensen's plate?
To win.
You want to be standing at the top of the
Yes.
podium is the goal right now.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys are done now until regionals, right? As
Yep.
far as competitions.
Yep.
Yep.
How about you, Deegan? What's Deegan Kirschman's goal as you go for this last month?
Place higher than last year and hopefully make it to the state finals. So
And to do that, what do you feel you need to do? Is there something you need to work on? Something you think, you got to get a little bit better at?
my leg attacks. I need to get better at my shots
Okay.
and just not to be in my head so much. So
Let's get it out of your head.
yeah.
Are you more, for both of you, are you more react type of wrestlers where you kind of react what your opponent is doing? Is that or is that wrestling in general, Miley?
It's kind of wrestling in general. Tim always yells at us to get more offense and like attacks, but yells at us.
Oh, he'll tell us later.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just more comfortable for me to react to what they're doing and then use that to score.
What's your go-to move? What do you have one? I don't know, other teams aren't watching, so.
I usually just have them shoot on me and I sprawl and circle
Sure.
behind.
Right.
Yep.
How about you, Deegan?
A Coleman Scott.
Okay, that's your go-to.
Yep.
That's your go-to.
Coleman Scott.
Talking about these young wrestlers, we got 4 wrestlers in the room that are brand new to wrestling. How have you, Deegan, I'll start with you, kind of mentored these young ladies? Have you talked to them? Have you told them what to expect?
I've talked to them a little bit and then, just trying to tell them like good job after practice and give them pointers in practice just to help them out and I don't know, just be positive towards them so they like the sport and stay in it.
How about you? Do you get a chance to maybe talk to some of the young wrestlers?
I have gone to a couple practices. I haven't gone this year, but usually when I'm at practice, they all end up climbing on me and asking me questions and
Sure.
stuff. So
And you give them the big sister advice
Yeah.
type thing. Is that too just kind of a sisterhood with the 11 of you guys, because you're the first real big varsity team? I mean, you're going to have lifelong friends with this group here, aren't you? And that's got to make it a little more special.
yeah.
Well, now, final question here as we get ready for the regionals and get ready for state. I guess overall this year, how fun has it been? I mean, you're only juniors. You've got another
Yeah.
year left to go.
It's
But
been,
just
it's been
overall.
super fun. I don't really know what else to say. It's been a fun year, a good year, and hoping for many more.
The Devils Lake win. When you beat Devils Lake in your first ever duel, Miley, as a team, how did that feel for you guys?
That was cool. Like we actually were not expecting to win that duel because they should have won it, but it was really cool to have our first team win.
First ever duel for the Highlander girls and picking up a W.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I know there's a few more wins left in your quiver, only 101 or 100, wherever you're at right now. We're going to see a lot more here over the next couple of weeks, but good luck to you. Thanks for joining us this morning, and now get home and drive carefully as you head to school today,
Yeah,
okay?
got it.
All right,
Okay,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Deacon Kirschman and Miley Christensen, a couple of juniors from the Highlander girls wrestling team, and again, a couple of 100 wins for Highlander wrestling. We'll be back with more Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here at Coach's Corner in the Highland Activity Network, and I forgot to mention when we had the two ladies here yesterday was Girls and Women in Sports, National
yep.
Girls and Women in Sports Day. So I forgot to mention that we were a day behind. Last year we did it, we had the show on that day, but a day behind this year. Now we're joined by the coaches, Dustin Kruger and Tim Miller. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Did you blow snow this morning?
I went and shoveled a little, that's all I did.
Well, before we get to the team, let's talk about these two young ladies that we just chatted with. Tim, I'll start with you. Just how special it has been for these two and what they have done with this program for the last 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's not two others that are deserving like they are. They've just been a staple of the program. I think, Deegan, did you start one? You started 1 year earlier, right?
I just practiced a little bit.
Right, in
Okay.
7th grade. Didn't wrestle for Highliners, but practiced with Express. Oh, okay. They both started with the Highliners in 8th grade, and so yeah. I mean, very fitting that they get it on the same day within just minutes of each other.
And you stop and think, 100 wins in, 4 years? That's about 25 a year, roughly. I mean, with the math, that means they've been pretty successful wrestlers in these last 4 years.
Yeah, very consistent and successful. And so now the talk is, is there any way we can get our schedule with enough matches for next year to get them to 150? So I know they've been doing the math, and we've talked about it a little bit. Can we get there? Because that's kind of the next dot on the totem pole,
Right.
In wins. So
The next notch.
Yep.
Dustin, when you look and talk about these two, what makes them as special as they are, and what makes them good wrestlers in particular?
You just look at their determination and everything like that. But I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, is when they started, they had to wrestle with the boys. And I think that made them a little tougher right away. Like, if you can stick it out wrestling with a bunch of boys that kick the snot out of you, and then come back and then you start getting wrestle with girls and everything like that, things become a little bit easier and everything like that for you. And they picked up more different techniques and everything than you do when you're wrestling with girls, just different body styles and everything like that. And they're able to carry that over till when they started wrestling girls. I think, what was it, 3 years ago it got sanctioned. And they did have a girls tournament before and everything like that, but when you only had 4 girls in the wrestling room, you don't have your own practices, you're going to be wrestling with the boys. And I think that's one thing that really did help out and made them push themselves a little bit harder, was they got sick of getting beaten up by the boys, and they wanted to be able to hang with them and everything like that, is what really pushed them through.
And they were wrestling probably some of the other teams' better boys, too, at their weight class, too. So they weren't just wrestling, pardon the expression, patty cakes. They were wrestling some good wrestlers.
Well, there's the old saying, with duels, sometimes a kid might get, thrown to the wolves, where the other kid's best wrestler is. If we have a really, really good wrestler and they have an elite level wrestler, we want our really, really good wrestler to get a win. So somebody's got to go wrestle there. We got to send somebody out where their top dog is, and often it was those, one of those two, to basically go get beat up. And they did it with pride. They took it. They got up and might have had a bloody nose or sore shoulder when they were done, but they did it. So.
And it just made them better.
Yeah, absolutely. Then when they started wrestling with girls, maybe they're like, "Well, this is a piece of cake."
Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah.
We can handle this. I'll ask both of you kind of this question. Was it just kind of an emotional thing to watch these two pick up that 100th win? Because I saw the video, Tim, it looked like you were kind of holding a little something back. Maybe not, or maybe you want to yell at them about something. But,
no, I probably.
But there was.
Miley's right. I just yell. That's all I do.
Yeah, it had to be almost a pop-up feeling of what they accomplished.
It is. I mean, people know that I can be emotional, on both ends of the spectrum. And just seeing the girls proud of themselves, that's one of the coolest things in this sport, and it's why I coach. That's one of the reasons why I coach, is seeing the girls accomplish something, and then seeing them proud of themselves. That's very cool.
I think the look on Deegan's face was priceless, because she's like, really?
Yeah, I can't believe she didn't know that she wasn't closer, but, some of those, like, she asked me, how do you keep track of that? If you were to go back and try and look that up now, some of those matches with the boys that they had, where they picked up some of those wins, are not on track wrestling, not listed there. So yeah, she really had no clue, because she had no way of researching and looking it up. But But I guess I had the wherewithal at the time, for whatever reason, to start keeping track of their wins when they just started. So I'm glad I did.
And a lot more wins here in the next couple of years with these two young ladies. Now let's get back to the team, Dustin, at the Belle of the Brawl. I think Bethany got a third place finish, and we've talked about this a lot with Bethany Schultheis and just how impressive she has been in that first year in the wrestling room.
Yeah, she, and it was a pretty good tournament overall for some girls. We had some other girls too, and Bethany, she kind of has always been pretty decent as she started here. When we started, we got into some JV matches and she got the feel of it, but now she's getting into where she feels her body and she knows where she needs to put her hips and knows where to, switch the hips or do something like that or jump over. And she's kind of got the feel. She took out the 7 seed or ranked girl. She took out the 8th ranked girl at the same tournament there. To be able to go do that makes you feel very confident. She's got a lot of confidence when she goes and wrestles now. Early in the season, and she's very athletic, right? Like she's just an athletic girl. But early in the season, she started making errors, like all new wrestlers do. You got a brand new year. She's minimizing her errors now. Well, she still makes them, sure, but she's minimizing them in those bigger matches, and she knows she can go out there and beat these girls. And that's the thing with wrestling. Like once you lose a little bit of confidence, it's hard to get it back. And she just keeps driving right now. Like she's, I think 28 and 12 right now. Is that what you had?
28 and 12, 29 and 13.
Somewhere in there,
Somewhere in there.
For a first year wrestler. And she just got a lot of determination. Like, I'm going to go out there and beat you. Like, if you look at her before your matches, girls warm up differently, right? Like, everybody's got a different warm up. We got some that'll be giggling and try to not think about the match too much. You look at Bethany and it's 100% determined on the match. Like, she's in her own world. I like seeing that. I know Deegan gets in her own world when she wrestles. Miley's kind of nervous.
Giggling.
She gets a little nervous and kind of wants to giggle and not think about it too much until she gets out on the match. But watching Bethany's been fun. It's awesome to see these girls build on what they can do, the progress that they have.
And I think Val took first in the JV in her weight class as well. And there's another first-year wrestler that seems to be getting better with each and every match.
Yeah, absolutely. She's one of the quickest in the room to apply what we learn in the room. And there, I could list a handful of moves, but there was one that we just learned this past week, and on maybe it was Monday and Tuesday of this week, and now yesterday in practice she was scoring with it. So yeah, she figures out a way to quickly use what she's learning in the room. So.
And she's not afraid to apply it, on the mat right away. She's willing to go and, like, I'm going to hit this, and she turned it into probably her favorite move now, I'd suppose, and stuff like that. So that's what's fun about watching Val.
Trying it in the wrestling room is one thing.
Yep.
Applying it to an actual match is something different now, too.
Well, there's like we say, there's a process to get from, first thing we do is show technique in the room. We go and we work on it. The other person basically stands there, lets them do it. And then we start to do it, and then we crank it up and we say, okay, now we're going to go 70%, give some resistance, do it, feel what it feels like trying to do it on somebody that's resisting a little bit. And then once we get through that point, and we've done that quite a few times to where they have the muscle memory down at least somewhat, now it's a matter of, like we tell them, you're never going to go out and try something on the competition mat. You're never going to have the confidence to try it on the competition mat if you haven't completed it or made it happen or made it work on the practice mat. And so one thing we stress is the practice room. So what if you try it and you fail the first 7 times? If you don't do that, you're never going to get to the point where you're going to be able to use that in competition. So, we're like, go ahead, fail, try these things. If you try it 7 times in the practice room and you fail all 7, but you get a little bit closer every time, you're getting towards where you need to be. But if you don't, if you're worried, in practice, we can't be worried about losing matches or not having points scored. It's about the points, or not having points scored against us.
Okay.
We got to worry about us scoring points.
Okay.
That's what we look at, or we try to push in our practice room.
We've got, a little less than a month here to go. What's the process now as we get ready for regionals or get ready for state and regionals? Is there a tapering at all, or we just go hard here for the next 3 weeks?
Well, we talked about it at the, the beginning of the year. We were
Yeah.
going to ramp up and build to where we're our best, in our best condition and best, where we're in our best condition we can be in, and our wrestling's the best come regionals and state. Well, now here we are, we're battling a few injuries. So really the goal has switched a little bit. We still want to be the best we can be, but we have some injuries that we need to take care of, that it looks like it's going to take a little bit of rest, or less grinding, so to speak. Maybe back off a little bit, but I know we have a hard practice scheduled for today, but I mean, it's not, we want to stay in condition. We don't want to grind to the point where we're starting to see little injuries show up.
Of the 11, are all 11 going to get a chance to wrestle regionals and state? There is regionals and then and state, so all 11 are going to be in the regionals.
The way it worked out this year, yes. We can have 2 per weight class in regions, so essentially you can have 2 that are attempting to make state. You can't have 3 in a weight class, so you could never have 3 in a weight class at state.
Sure.
Some years it's going to be where maybe we have 3 or 4 girls in a weight class, which then there'll be wrestle-offs to determine who is going to get to wrestle at regions, to have a chance to go to state. That's not the case this year. With the way some of our girls are planning on changing weight classes, it worked out so everybody is going to be able, we don't have any more than 2 in a weight class right now. And that's the way it's going to be going into regions. So everybody will have an opportunity to wrestle regions.
Dustin, how about potential? Where do we see the potential of these girls who might find themselves in the Fargo Dome after the regionals?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this a little bit yesterday. So when you look at how the girls' brackets are set up, or how their regions are set up, we have an East and a West. There's 26 teams roughly in each one, 25, 26 teams. When you look at boys, there's East and West for the Class A, you're looking at probably, 10?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Teams,
there's
10 teams total.
There's 10 total.
And top 8 get to make it to state. I think that makes it a little more difficult for the girls, because you could potentially have a 24-person bracket, or even more, technically, if everybody goes into those same weight classes, where I think they could end up having a bigger bracket. So I feel like it's a little more difficult for the girls to be able to make it to state. You're going to have more competition at region than the boys would, because it's just divvied out a little bit differently. Last year we lucked out. We had 6 girls. We could take all 6. All 6 made it, last year. Is that going to happen this year? Probably not. Would I love to see us be able to take, 10, 11 girls? The only reason I say that is just because Gabby got her injury and stuff like that. But, if we could take them all, that'd be awesome. Do I think some girls have a chance to get right to that 8th seed? I sure do. I hope they have the confidence to be able to do that and think, hey, I can get there. I can get to state for my first year. So I think, if we look at it, I think with the wins that some of them have, and, some of those other girls are going to be in those JVs, girls that are stepping up. If we can get matched up with one of them or 2 of those and get into the place, and I think we could have more goal than what we think can happen, I think.
I think the boys regional is the 15th, or the girls the same weekend?
It's the 14th, but
The
yes.
14th?
Yep, day before.
Okay, and at West Fargo Cheyenne?
Nope.
Or is it
Castleton is
Castleton for the
where
girls?
ours is,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so Central Cass on the 14th. So, bring a lot of love on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know if there'll be a lot of that. There might be a lot of...
a lot of anger.
Yeah, that's right.
They can love later. I want to beat the tar out of you
Yeah,
right now,
that's
and then
right.
we'll go from there. Final question: as you guys get ready here for the regionals and the postseason, you look back at we'll talk probably again at the end of state. You look back at 2024, 2025. First year you've had this many girls. Just the excitement of girls wrestling here in Valley City. I know we got Wrestle Like a Girl for Express Wrestling coming up February 25th, and that's kind of where it starts. Tim, we'll start with you. Just the excitement around girls wrestling in Valley City right now, and these 2 are part of the reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's our first official year. I mean, we've always had it. We've practiced with the boys. Everything was kind of done in conjunction with the boys. Everything is separate now. And so, yeah, so to have our own program and our own practice time and our own practice room and and everything we do is just together and separate, it's awesome. And, this year we wrestled in one duel, which we won, that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
I just, didn't feel like it would be fair to a lot of the other teams, because a lot of our girls were at the same weight classes.
Right.
So we could only fill, of the 13 weight classes, we could realistically only fill 7. If we exaggerated some weights and moved some kids out of weight classes and into weight classes where they shouldn't be, we could get to 9. Next year, again, this is the program as a whole. Next year we should be able to fill, we're thinking 10
Right.
of those weight classes. So we should have a bona fide dual team that can hopefully compete. I know that duels are my favorite part of wrestling when you look at tournaments versus duels. I think once these girls get into it, they'll be on the same page as well. No, girls wrestling we're doing awesome. Everybody's improved. Everything's going in the right direction.
And just the one senior, just Victoria
Yep.
is your only senior.
Yep, we've got at least 4 or 5 sixth grade girls coming in.
Okay.
So that's how we know next year we're going to be able to fill more weight classes.
Okay. And Dustin, with you, just being a part of this, you've been around it for a long time, but to be a part of just the Violet Highlander girls team this year.
Yeah, so, and we talk about it a lot of times, the wrestling is a family sport, and you get to see that, like, these girls make connections, maybe with girls they've never even talked to in the school or something like that before, and you get a family vibe by the end of it, like, everybody wants to be at everybody's match when they're wrestling. You see all the girls that are lined up, along the edge of the mats and everything like that. The excitement the girls have, like, they bring a lot of energy that boys don't bring, that are just different than boys wrestling. It's a complete different ball game, but you look at the sixth graders. Tim said we got some good ones here coming up. 4 or 5 of those. There's a really good crop of 4th, 5th graders that are going to be coming behind them. So I think all of a sudden there hopefully is 20 some girls here in the wrestling room, and that's not including any that decide, hey, I'm going to try it for the first
Right.
year and come out next year because they're like, I liked hearing about all the success the girls are having, and hopefully that's what it is a couple of the girls can bring a friend out next year or something like that, and all of a sudden we got 25, 30 girls get up there to where we got a full room and able to do, like Tim said, the wrestle-offs for matches and get a full dual team going and everything like that. But yeah, it's a fun bond to have with these girls. And the year that they had this year is fabulous, I think, for a first-year program in the school system. The success we're seeing, the amount of girls that we came out, we've talked about it, like how many are we going to get? There's going to be, you're thinking last year we had 6, you're thinking hopefully we can have 8. Well, all of a sudden we had, 11. We're above the state average of, Tim and I have looked at that, it's around 7 we figure for the state average. We're above that, which is good to see.
And still a lot of wrestling left. It's going to be
Yep.
for the next 3 weeks. We'll see, or next week, we'll see how the girls do it. The regionals next Friday at Central Cass, and then hopefully we have a little bit more than a handful
Yeah.
that are going
Yeah.
to go into the Fargo Dome.
I think those 2 clowns back there are ready to go to McDonald's.
I think they are.
Getting bored
and they're getting. Yeah, I'm hearing something in the air, and so we better let you guys go. But guys, again, good luck next week.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having us on again.
You bet. Coach Dustin Kruger and Tim Miller from the Highlander Girls Wrestling. Back with more Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back our Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network as we wrap things up on this Thursday. Here's what's coming up on the Highlander Activity Network. Coming up tomorrow night, we've got boys basketball as Valley City will take on Central Cass, 5:30 for the junior varsity, 7 o'clock for the varsity, and then we'll have girls basketball as they will take on Central Cass next Monday, and that too will be at 5:30 for the junior varsity and 7 o'clock for the varsity. Gwen, the Highlander girls have been playing some great basketball as of late. 64-56 winners on the road at Devils Lake. Their last time out, 15-2 on the year. They're 8-1 in the regional. Of course, that close 1-point win over the Kindred Vikings, 53-52. So 2 big wins over teams ranked in the top 5 in Class A and Division A for the Highlander girls basketball team. And so congratulations to Coach Jimmy Howard. And they're going to be playing Central Cass again. That's coming up here on Monday night. That'll be our next girls game. And our last thought, again, if you have not heard, Valley City Highlander football now has a new head coach. Chad Smith, you might remember Chad was an offensive coordinator for a couple of years here for the Highlanders. That one year where they had, averaged 265 yards rushing, where they had Ethan Miller and Gavin Gerhardt and Zach Sikora running the football, Bryson Heck at quarterback, and had that great year. Then, of course, lost to Fargo North in the first round of the playoffs. But Chad now is the head man for Valley City Highlander football, and I talked with Chad last night. We'll have him on the show next week and talk a little bit about his vision for Highlander football moving forward. That's going to wrap things up here on this edition of Coach's Corner. Again, my thanks to our guests, Jim McDaniel from Highlander boys basketball, Deacon Kirschman and Miley Christensen, Tim Miller and Dustin Kruger from the Highlander girls wrestling team, and of course to Brian Krewald, our technical director, camera operator, producer here this morning, and you, our viewers. We do appreciate you joining us each and every Thursday here for Coach's Corner. Again, boys basketball coming up tomorrow night, 5:30 for the JV, 7 o'clock for the varsity, and then we'll be back right here at the Hack next Thursday morning for another edition of Coach's Corner.